we get into this episode, I got to take a minute and I got to say I'm sorry to all the listeners and our followers. You know, it occurred to me the other day that we don't do a really good job of explaining who we are as an organization and what we do. We put out a lot of fun stuff, but it kind of may seem random, sporadic at times. Because when we started this podcast, we just wanted to have real conversations and let those conversations go wherever they went. We didn't want to overscript anything. We just wanted to be our authentic selves. And then we realized we're missing a big opportunity because most people who listen or follow us don't really know what's at the core of what drives us and what we do. And so I wanted to take a moment to just say, one, thank you for watching, listening, subscribing, all the things that you do. And two, I wanted to invite you into the next step, which is what we call the Purpose Project. The Purpose Project is something that we created as a holistic mentorship tool, or if you're coming from the church world, you can supplement mentorship with discipleship. We see it as the same thing. And we, at our core, believe that there is a massive misunderstanding about the way discipleship should and could be done to really help people grow personally, professionally, and spiritually. So the Purpose Project cuts through all that to get at somebody's core, their unique design, how you're wired and why it matters. I think most of us live through life and we feel like we're not sure if we're totally aligned with what our gifts are and what we could be doing. We bounce between confidence, no confidence, don't have a great support network. Well, the Purpose Project is a tool to help you get really on the right track. But more than that, it brings you further into a community that wants to see you succeed because we truly believe that the world needs your gifts, your passions, and ultimately you operating at your peak potential. So if that's at all interesting to you, I invite you to take a minute to really go to our website, catalystcollective.community, and you'll see the Purpose Project there. And for a limited time, I'm not selling you guys anything. We would really love to walk you through it at no charge. So if that's an interest, again, hit our website up, see what we're doing behind the scenes to really invest in people like you. And thank you for listening. So as we set up this podcast, this was a brainchild of my daughter Faith's. So I want to welcome her back to the podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can speak now.
Yeah,
my monologue
thanks.
is over. Yeah, I do have other people here. That wasn't a pre-recorded monologue. We were talking, you and I, about different ideas, what people need in this time, and you had this idea. So tell us about what you're hoping to get out of this discussion. Those listening, those watching, what are they going to take away from this, hopefully?
Well, I really want this to be a podcast that other young or any age really creators can come listen to and just resonate with and understand some of the struggles that we have gone through or are going through as artists and creators, and also try and figure out if, like, for us to give feedback so that they can learn from or get ideas from on how to help their own creativity get to the next level.
Yeah, and I think there's no this is a great time for this. First of all, with 40 million Americans out of work, with people getting job cuts and reduced hours, everybody's getting into scrappy mode and trying to figure out how we make this work. How do you, if you've ever had an idea, now is the time to probably bring it to life, because there's never going to be an optimal time to do this. And so if you're wondering how creators do it, to go from idea to making it happen to making money off of that idea and just not quitting, that's part of what you're going to get from this episode. So
Right.
Don't want to waste any more time. How about we introduce our guests? And actually, I wanted you guys to introduce yourselves. So Gracyn, we'll start with you. So who you are, what you do, and what's fueling your passion. Why do you do it?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Gracyn, and I'm just 18, so I'm kind of a baby when it comes to stuff like this. But I guess you could call me a painter of sorts. I'm really into art, really into visual creating, into sculpting and drawing, anything that requires me to use my hands. And I don't really know where I started getting a passion for art. I just kind of grew up loving it and grew up loving the actual putting things on paper. I was a very messy child, and that was kind of what started the whole process of just getting crayons and just ripping paper and stuff like that. So yeah, that's just a little bit about how I started, probably.
Right. Well, only 18. Well, only 18 and you're making money. And
Okay,
that's, yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
well.
that is huge.
It's pretty major.
Yeah, so
Thank you. That's
great.
nice.
We look forward to hearing more of your thoughts here as we get
Okay.
into it.
So I'm Faith. I run a photography account or photography business and blog. And I guess what really, how I started getting into photography was I always liked reading and telling stories. So I always loved how a photograph could capture a story and it could be timeless. You know, like you look at it and you can interpret it differently. So that's how I got into it. I started taking pictures with my phone. And then a really close family friend of ours lent me his camera, which I totally did not utilize correctly at the time because I didn't know how to use it. But now, yeah, I just absolutely love photography. I love capturing color and life and passion. So
That's great. Well, we're already starting to see a theme develop, and that is being able to take a passion and turn it into a business or at least a side hustle. Yeah? All right. Yeah.
Bring
So
us
my
side
name's
hustle.
Sunny, and I'm a full-time online reseller on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. And I started that about 2 years ago. Actually, a little bit about myself. Like I started shopping, thrift stores when I was in high school, and just loved it. Just for my own personal, I didn't like to shop at the mall. I always wanted, to go to the thrift stores, find something unique. And so I've done that all my life. Raised my kids doing the same thing. And then a couple years ago, my daughter actually turned me on to Poshmark, which is the online selling platform. And she was making money doing it. And I was like, well, what the heck? Let me try. So I bought a couple of things and put them on there. And lo and behold, I sold them pretty quickly. And I loved it. It was awesome. So I just started doing it. And I did that for the last 2 years. And maybe about 3 or 4 months ago, I went full time. I left my full-time job and have been doing that, and I just love it. I love the idea of taking things that are used, and if they don't sell, they're going to end up in a landfill, and saving them and giving them a new life and someone else who can love them and use them, and so that's I've been really enjoying that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's awesome. Now those listening and watching, they're gonna need to go to your store and follow you, because here's the deal. If you buy anybody else's used crap on eBay or Poshmark, it's going to come laced with COVID. However, if you shop Sunny, you are getting COVID-free merchandise.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I steam all of my clothing, which is better than washing it. Gets lots more bacteria out of it.
Yep.
And I package things really nicely, and you'll get a really nice piece of clothing and be happy.
There you go.
Shop selected by Sunny.
There it is. There it is. All right. Now, give me a shot at this. I'm not going to look at... I want to introduce you. And last time I did this, it took me 3 hours to recover from dying laughing because I could not get this straight. So I have it, laid out, but I'm not going to look at this sheet of paper. I want to welcome back Decoyote.
He did it.
Did I did it?
did it.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Yes.
Hi, I'm Decoyote, and I'm a vocalist, musician, producer, designer from right here in Austin, Texas. And I guess I've spent a lot of time telling stories and making music and telling stories in that way. Lately, I've become maybe you talk about like all the hustling that's been happening in these last days. I think for me, I have decided that this is a perfect opportunity to be the person that I want to be, the exact person that I want to be. I mean, like, there's no reason that you can't just walk right out and be exactly the person that you want to be, because I think these times have changed us in such an amazing way, and I think in being able to do that and kind of already having been on that track, I've become more of an advocate of, being your true self, living your purpose, and really living your dream. And I think now there has never been another time where you can be unapologetically you. And so, I think if you're not you, who else gonna do it? So here I am to represent and do my best to help steer anybody who wants to feel that way in that way, in that direction, and along that path, along their path. So
and again, before we leave this episode, people are going to know your latest projects and what you're into, because I got some questions I was just poking around. You're like, what is he up to? So I got some questions I need to ask. Okay, let's jump into this first one. So first and foremost, this pandemic, COVID-19, how is it impacting you guys? What is, since March till now, what's been happening? Has this been a good thing, a bad thing? Has it refined you? Has it sent you to another level? Has it made you want to crawl in a hole and cry? Like, how is this pandemic impacting you guys?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
So actually for me, it's been a blessing. Because normally I would go shopping a lot more, and I'm limited now to what I can do. So luckily I had bought things ahead of time, so I had stuff that I could be listing. But what are you doing?
Hey, don't you get close to that mic?
No, so I had bought a bunch of stuff, and also, I mean, just because people aren't able to go out, they're shopping more online, and so that's been like, my sales have gone up tremendously, because the stores aren't open, they can't go there, so people are turning to shopping online instead, and so that's been great for my business.
What about you running out of inventory? How are you getting creative to get your inventory with stores closing and everything?
Well, like I said, before this happened, I used to go shopping a ton, and so I loaded up, but since I was working full time, I didn't have the time to list everything that I had, and so I had a stockpile of stuff, and so it's kind of helped carry me through this time. And also, I've had like friends and neighbors that have given me clothing, and then I've resold that, so that's helped as well.
I don't know if my wife would go for this, but I want to take 5 pairs of my shoes and 5 pairs of her shoes and see which one we get more money for.
Okay.
Yeah?
Hands down.
Okay.
I can already tell you the answer to that question.
The winner, the winner of between me and her gets to go out and buy 3 new pairs of shoes.
Ooh, I like it.
You like it?
Yes.
I like it. That's a bit. Is that good with you, honey? Yes. Yes. All right. That's going to be awesome. We're going to do that. 5 pairs. Start picking out your pairs first. I already know what I'm selling. Mine are in good condition because I take care of my stuff. That voice in the background is our sound technician, Rabona. Okay. How about the rest of you guys?
Well, for me, it's been nice because I've had a lot more time to go work on building more of a portfolio because I have a lot more time for photo shoots, a lot more time for hours that normally I wouldn't shoot at, like early in the morning, so I can get like blue hour and stuff like that. Definitely, I've had a lot more time to sit back and read books about developing as an artist. Something that my favorite book right now is The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. By Julia Cameron. That's a really great book. So yeah, just a lot of time to... What?
Because I'm sad. I have something in my mind I want to say, but you're my daughter, and I don't know if it's going to embarrass you, but I want to say it anyway because it's really bragging on you. Okay, so what does a photographer do in the middle of a pandemic when like all the parks are closed and everybody's quarantining? What do you do? So one of the things you did with one of your BFFs is you went and took photographs in a drainage ditch.
Yeah. They turned out really well.
When you told me, that's the thing.
Backdrop.
If you go to your Instagram account
you have to think out of the
and
box.
you just start scrolling through, your photos, you would not be able to tell where this drainage ditch was. But you were literally taking photos in a drainage ditch. That's how you get scrappy and creative.
Thank you. Yeah, that was one of my favorite shoots. You should check it out at Elliott Stokes Photography on Instagram and Facebook, or www.elliottstokesphotography.com. But yeah, so lots of time to do more shoots, build a portfolio, practice techniques I wouldn't use.
Yep. Yep. Well,
that's awesome.
How's this impacted the music biz?
I mean, it's been pretty major. Obviously, playing out live came to a screeching halt, and never expected that to happen. And you know, I think I talked to you. I guess it was enough time. I guess it was September 12th when I made this decision, you know, to kind of work on a rebrand and everything. And I, you know, ramped up for the spring, and then spring gets here and it's all, you know, just the breaks, you know. So I shifted from really trying to focus a lot of energy toward really getting out and playing something in front of people to, I just decided that I'm going to make one more full-length record, you know, and if, you know, if it doesn't take off, it doesn't do something, if it doesn't go somewhere, then I'm going to move on to the next thing. But, you know, having said that, you know, I'm pouring everything that I have into it. Any risk that I thought, man, I really want to take this risk, I'm throwing it all at the wall, you know, and seeing what sticks. Really, I feel like I have a lot more to say, and so I'm saying it, and it feels really good. It feels like a weight's off of me, and like I'm throwing something out into the universe, into the world, you know, for it to take a life, you know. If it's gonna live, you know, I hope it does, you know, but who's to say, you know?
Yeah. And so, yeah, here's at the core what I hear so far from you guys is there's no victim mentalities at this table. Nobody's a victim of the pandemic.
Right. For
each of you, you've doubled down on your creativity and making it work. And I think that's an element of whatever you want to do in life and be successful at. You know, it's not going to be a straight line. It's not a linear path. Stuff's going to come up. It's going to impact you in different ways, and you've got to double down on your focus, your drive, why you were doing it in the first place, and just keep moving forward. So I love that. So I'm gonna change it up, and Grace, I'm gonna aim this one at you. So let's look at. I want to talk about the I guess the emotional, mental health side of being a creative, right? Because you're putting yourself out there in new and different ways.
Yes.
How do you manage like the mental ups and downs that come with this?
That's a great question. You know, I would say it's not so much as managing as it is just learning to cope with things like that. Being an artist myself, I really rely on emotions to transfer that onto paper and to find like new ways. Like that's a really heavy part of what I do. So when I'm not in that state of mind, it's really hard to make anything, especially right now. You know, everything's going on. The world is heavy. It's hard. It's dark. And a lot of us don't really feel like creating things right now. But yeah, just as far as managing, I actually kind of turned to art to manage. I love doing like art therapy is an actual thing. It's really cool. Where you just literally paint whatever you want whenever you feel like it, and you make some really cool things, and I like it a lot. But yeah, it's a hard life for artists out there. I have mad respect for everybody who does that. Yeah.
Anybody else on the roller coaster? How do you manage the mental ups and downs of being a creator? No.
That's funny.
Anyone?
Well, maybe you guys are all just, you know, on drugs, and so it just evens you out.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, weed.
Not me.
Yeah.
Okay. I say that I think for me, probably what I worry more about is customer satisfaction. So because if somebody doesn't like what I give them, it's kind of like you didn't like my art, you know, how I edited the photo.
Well, wait a minute.
My composition.
You're the photographer. They're in the photo. If they don't like it, I mean, you can't make ugly pretty.
That's
Whoa.
That's a far. That's not true. There's everybody.
That's not true. Photoshop can do wonders.
Yes,
I stand corrected. Okay.
First of all,
so
everybody.
I mean, if I had 3 eyeballs,
listen,
you're gonna edit out one
to
of
me.
them. I mean,
Stop, no.
that's still a Martian.
No, listen to me. Every single person that I've ever photographed, whether or not you would look at them and think they're photogenic, there is no. If you are able to capture who that person is, then there's no ugly photograph. So
like
that's
that.
so
Oh,
sweet.
Oh, that's why I can never be a
Wow.
photographer.
Yeah, but even if it's crazy eyes, or even if it's like, like,
Yeah, yeah.
if it's like, being asleep, I don't know. Maybe if it's like, it's the moment, right? It's the thing.
There's nobody that I don't want anybody to not be satisfied with how they look in
Yeah.
any of the photos I take, because then I didn't do my job in making them feel
That's so sweet.
like good.
Mhm.
Which is what I aim to do. I want to make people feel good when I show them photographs, and I want them to be like, oh, like I don't look great in that, because I'm like, well, that's what I worked on. But yeah, for me, I get a lot of anxiety before I while I'm editing and before I give photos to someone, on whether or not they'll like it or they'll like what I've done.
Do you guys think this is an age thing? I'm not trying to put us on the old side of the table. However, we're not 18 anymore. Do you think at a certain age you start putting stuff out there and you could just care less how many likes or comments or things that you get, whereas maybe it's harder when we're younger? No?
Depends on the person.
Yeah.
I care.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I have high standards, so I care. What I put out has to be the best that I can. If you're gonna do the work, make it the best that it can be. I don't like to put out bad stuff. I
So
want to put out
when someone
quality.
when someone receives your merchandise and you don't get a high score, that
It affects me.
it affects you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I try not to let it, but it really I take it personally a little bit.
Oh yeah, I take it
Because
so
I
me too.
have so much pride in what I do. Like I love what I do, and I put pride into what I do, and I want that person to love it too, And when they don't, and they give you a bad rating, not necessarily because they didn't like the actual product, but maybe just because it didn't fit them the way they liked, which you can't control. I mean, you tell them the measurements and the size and all that, and that's beyond my control, but it still hurts me, So I'm like, oh, I wish they would have had a better experience,
Yeah.
And
Sure.
I want a happy customer, So.
Anytime I lose a follower, I have a little small mental breakdown in my
that's
head
really sad.
on my creative accounts. So whether it's
Right.
something Catalyst account, if I post something and it loses a follower, I'm like, what? Or like my own photography account. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I've gotten to where I just kind of let go, and like that's kind of how I think I would sum up how I deal with it. It's just sort of like you just kind of let go of it, the whole policy of the empty hand, and I think being apologetic about what you do, like if you're going to color things a certain way, you're going to throw focus, a certain way, or style your stuff a certain way, wrap your stuff up a certain way. It's like that's distinctly you, and I think I think also it's like as an artist, you gotta be ready for critique, because it's a critical thing that you're doing.
Absolutely.
And it's either good or bad, and sometimes you can make bad art. I've made plenty of bad
Yeah.
art. I've written plenty of crappy songs, and that's why learning through the iterative process, it's like you refine your stuff and you put it out there, and eventually you're writing great things, or you're making great things.
Absolutely.
So how do you manage if you open yourself up? First of all, I guess the question is, do you open yourself up to critique by inviting it? And if you do, how do you manage to not get crushed by that critique?
Okay, I have one. So I applied to the University of Texas, not really wanting to go there, but I applied to their art department. And it was just a massacre of my art. Like, I got just shredded. Like, it was cruel. And I had like a whole one-on-one meeting with the professors, and they were just like, you don't have your own style. Like, you are pulling from famous artists. And that was like the most heartbreaking thing to hear, because I thought it was good. And to have these professionals who I looked up to tell me that it was bad, I definitely cried that day. It was a really hard day. But looking back on it, that was probably the best thing that's ever happened to me, because I made a promise to myself that day that I would never have another professional say that to me, that I wasn't unique in what I did. And it just really motivated me to start finding my own style and start doing things differently. But oh my gosh, definitely not going there.
Yeah,
Nothing against them, but
great example.
Yeah, please don't go there.
I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm gonna cry.
Sorry, nothing against them.
Yeah.
No, Gracyn, you're awesome. I love Grayson's art.
Aww.
It's amazing. We
feel like you're just saying
started
that.
doing a Creator of the Week on the Catalyst pages in order to promote helping people discover their gifts and passions. And Gracyn was the first person I had as our Creator of the Week.
I didn't even know
because
that.
I love her account so much. Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Right on.
Thanks.
Well, Faith with photography, James with music.
Yeah.
I mean, anything stand out to you guys? Do you open yourself up for critique, and how do you not get crushed by it?
I want people to know. So in the middle of a shoot, I'm showing people the pictures I'm taking because I want to know if they don't think an angle looks good.
I'm going to critique you right now. The mic is over there. Your mouth is over
gosh.
here. Let's line that up.
Wow.
Boom.
That was smooth.
We got it.
That was smooth.
I want to. Okay.
How did you handle that?
Fine.
Okay,
You're
good.
just like a mild annoyance.
Okay.
No, like I'm just kidding. No, like I want to know during the shoot so I don't
You're
send
cute.
it.
You're cute, but you're also grounded.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Go, continue on.
Can I
Yeah.
can I be taken seriously, please?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. No, so yeah, I like to interact with them in the shoot so they know what I'm doing, and I like to beforehand know what kind of vibes they want to get out of their photos. You know, if we're going for romantic or hip or like some sort of style, and I want to know what colors they want because I won't just edit how I prefer to edit. If somebody likes, recently I did a shoot, and normally I lean towards golden hour and sun and vibrant green, and somebody was telling me before the shoot when I asked them what they were looking for that they wanted neutral tones and white, and I was like, but I want to know before so that I can give them what's going to make them happy in the pictures of them because they're paying for it. But I lost track of the question. What was the question?
Yeah, you did. That's cool. We're listening. We're all taking notes.
Yeah. What was the question?
You critique, and I know you get critique
Oh,
because
yeah.
you're going to post
No,
your photos,
so
and people
I
are going to
want-
comment on those
I
photos.
want people to tell me when they don't like something so I can change
Yeah.
it before they
Yeah.
get the final product.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I don't. Of all the creators here at this table, I can't imagine being a songwriter, musician, creator at what you're doing because everybody's palette is so different.
Oh yeah.
You're bound to have way more people that would not like it than like it, right? I don't know. Like,
That's what I found.
is that.
I don't know. I mean, I'm still just trying to be heard, you know. And it's like, the first 10 seconds of a video. It's like if you don't grab their attention, you know, it's like you're gonna lose them. And so the same thing applies. You know, I was just having a conversation today with a producer here in town, and he was saying, you know, it's like one of the things that he noticed that one of the things I was trying to do was some vintage production stuff, you know, which is making the sounds a little bit flatter, which means like the vocals don't pop. They don't pop the way that, you know, we've all been trained to hear music these days, you know. And so, you know, like I've been spending a lot of time in listening to bands like Buffalo Springfield and you know, any of the Laurel Canyon stuff, which is I've just been so digging that. And so I really wanted to bring a lot of that 60s stuff, you know, and revisit it because nobody's doing it, you know. And so being sometimes just, you know, grabbing onto something that hasn't been around in a while is just like the most creative thing that you can do because there's really nothing new under the sun, you know. It's just
How much of the music side is storytelling? And I say that because so just the other night we finished the MJ documentary, The Last Dance, and so we have someone here in our friend group who didn't watch any of it, didn't really care, not into basketball, Michael Jordan's story, totally normal. But when we set up what was happening and made her watch episode 9 of 10, halfway into it, she's realizing, wow, it's such good storytelling that you can't help but get into it, even if you hate basketball.
Yeah.
You're drawn in. And I'm wondering on the music side of things, because you're a brilliant storyteller, and I'm wondering if you just listen to your music without knowing the story, like how much that plays into it, and that those that know your story and know your creative ability, and maybe even seeing things that you've produced outside of music, right? They're able to hear and experience your music in a different way. I wonder how much of that, because I always thought you should be in video. I love your music. I love your music, but I was like, I think the video music combination.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
Well, first I just want to say MJ is amazing. I mean, and that's a big part of what makes him what makes that such a great story. And I would never compare myself to that guy, but you have to really you got to be a catalyst, and you really got to be a thermostat and not a thermometer, in terms of stuff like that. But in terms of, we were talking about story. You asked me.
Storytelling.
Yeah, I think I suck at small talk. Like I cannot do small talk to save my life. Like typically I haven't been able to. It's like, hey, how you doing? Like tell me the story of your life. Like tell me what's at the bottom of your heart. Like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I tend to connect with people who are just like past like this. They're no bullshit. Like there's no pretense. There's really just, it's like Brene Brown talks about vulnerability,
oh my gosh, I love her.
and like authenticity and all that
Yes.
kind of stuff. I mean, because like that stuff is powerful,
Yes.
And I think when people, when it's real, and when you bring in things that are like, Malcolm Gladwell talks about the power of specificity in writing songs. So it's like when you write something, like about a bicycle, or everybody's immediately going to go to their bike, or to their times on a bike, or you think about this little piece of your life or something, and you talk about the smell of the way a meal is blowing through the air or something like that. It's like it sparks up nostalgia, it sparks up deep feelings, and like those are the things that like you have to learn how to cultivate, either in whether it's in like a lyric and in the way a music builds or falls or anything like that, or whether it's the way you frame a shot or something like that. And I am actually moving into video, man. I'm doing a show.
Right.
Nice.
Love it. All right, let me put the business hat on. Everybody's gonna put their business hat on for these next 2 questions. Okay, they'll go. We're gonna move a little bit quicker. But the first one is just on a super, super practical, think about the software, the apps, the tools, the tricks that you use that help you in your business or creative process. What are some of your favorites that, like, man, if this tool wasn't here, I wouldn't know what I would do. So for me, as a non-creative in the normal sense of creative, like, I live on Canva. Like Canva's
oh my
huge.
gosh.
Like I don't know what people did before without Canva. Like Canva makes me look like a genius.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
That's funny.
So that's my go-to. And if you're listening to this and don't know what Canva is, I think it's going to be more important than Word, Excel, and Google Sheets in the
Absolutely.
future. Like you better
We need to
brush
invest.
up your
Yeah.
Canva skills.
I've been digging Asana too. I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard of Asana. Is it
Asana?
the same thing, or is it a different thing?
I just
Yeah.
use Canva.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about just from an organizational
Asana
perspective.
is the task management, right? It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
organizing your
Gotcha.
skills. So Canva is like the digital flyer, create your ads, social media.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like do it real fast, get it out there, make
Gotcha.
it look pretty. But Asana I've used.
Well, I was just gonna say, like when you start, getting a bunch of people together, organizing teams, or putting down a lot of, kind of like milestone ideas and things that you want to tackle, that you want to be able to share with teams. Communication across teams, it's got to happen it's got to happen really quickly, and not only that across a team, but like a community too. So, and I think looking outside of social media and looking outside of like all kind of the normal channels, it's like how can we work really well together, where you can like, you can log in when it works for you, and like it's good collaborative tools,
Yeah.
So,
No, it
and
makes
then anything
sense. Yeah.
draw,
Yep. Yeah. So,
Illustrator.
Sonny, in the world of flipping, reselling, what are the go-to kind of software apps or tools that you're using?
So the most important thing I think for selling and what makes me stand out is the quality of my pictures. And I used to be a photographer and like photography when I was growing up too, and young adult. And so this gives me kind of an outlet for that as well. And so I think the thing that sets me apart is that I spend a lot of time editing my photos, but the app that I use is called Snapseed.
Okay.
And it's fantastic, and like it does so many wonderful things. It just like makes my pictures just pop, and that stands out because a lot of people just like, you know, they'll just throw a piece of the clothing like on their bed or on the floor or something like that, and I'll do like a crisp white background.
And that's where the coronavirus comes from.
Yeah.
So I don't do that.
Yeah.
Crisp white background, and it just makes it stand out. So
Yeah.
that is wonderful. And then the other thing I use for reselling is a program called Vendu.
Okay.
And it's a cross listing program. So like I can take all of, like I was on Poshmark first.
Okay.
And so I had all my Poshmark listings there, and I was able to import all of my listings from Poshmark and then put them onto eBay. It just grabbed all my, imported all my pictures and put them
Yeah,
into eBay without
that's
having me to it was so easy.
All right. What if you're new to the world of reselling and flipping?
Get Vendu.
Vendu, that-
Vendu, yes.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because we just posted a car we're trying to sell.
Right.
And it's a pain in the butt to like Craigslist and then
And then all
these
the
different
fielding all the
sites.
phone calls too, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, Facebook Marketplace kills me.
Oh,
I don't want to use Facebook.
Is it available?
I don't know anymore.
Is the car available?
Is the car? Yeah, it's and in every language possible. I mean, how many ways can you? Are these bots that are asking me, "Is it available?" 50 million times, and then I and then the fool in me has to reply, "Yes,
That's
yes,
funny.
yes, yes, yes," and then it's crickets.
Yes.
That's unfortunate.
Like it drives me
Sorry.
crazy. So, tip for Facebook Marketplace: don't reply to the "Is it available?" Oh.
Because
They
it
really
is.
don't care because they really because it is and they really don't care.
No.
That's good
Yeah.
advice.
Anyway, all right. What are you guys using?
so for photo editing, I'm using Lightroom and Photoshop.
Oh, I love those. Love those.
Lightroom for sure I would start with because it's a lot less complicated than Photoshop. Photoshop's a beast. I only go to Photoshop if I'm in drastic need or I really want to do something artistic. Photoshop, in terms of photo editing, Lightroom has everything. I just had to go to Photoshop once so far for like editing that I was doing for a client because I had to edit some bra work and yeah, it was bad. But so Photoshop fixes anything really, really drastic. But Lightroom's very good. I use Canva a lot when I'm making posts on social media. That's pretty much it for me.
I'm a Pinterest girl. You will find me on there all the time. Definitely just because I like to paint and things like that. The number one rule of like being an artist is you have to steal from other people. It's basically plagiarism, but they just allow it, which is really weird. But so I'm always on there. I'm literally always on there. More than I spend on social media, on texting. Like it's an addiction. It's probably bad, but
Do you get more traction selling your own creative art and products on Pinterest or Instagram?
probably Instagram, but I definitely use Pinterest because people will subconsciously see things that I post on there and then save it. And when they go back and look at that, they're like, "Oh, I'll buy that," and they just click it, and it leads them like right to my social media account. So it's kind of some manipulation.
Do you sell on Etsy as well?
I don't sell on Etsy. I mainly sell on Instagram,
Okay.
but someday I'll get on Etsy.
You should.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Okay, so now this is part business, part philosophical.
Ooh, I like
But
that.
somebody's thinking, okay, I have an idea, I have a passion that I'm trying, that I'd love to turn into something. What they've got to have an element. We've talked about it a little bit. Something in their DNA that's going to help them take this from concept to reality. So as you think back about what are some of the qualities that you feel like you have that make you successful at what you do, like why? And don't take it for granted, right? Because a lot of people will say, I don't know. You've got something there. Because most people, the vast majority of people, will never move out of idea and concept. But you guys have. So what is it that gets you to that level?
I was going to allude to what I was saying earlier about working with other people. Like if you don't, like I'm a great starter. I can be a really terrible finisher on my own. I mean, like I've been better, the more projects that I do. But I think if I'm honest, I mean, I think I've done a pretty good job selecting different people to like fill the role of that person, or to help me finish certain things, and I think really, having people around you that help you finish is really a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
let's credit our wives.
Say that, yeah.
No, but serious. So you have to be proactive, is what I'm hearing you say, about finding a community or other people that will help you execute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
mentorship. Whether it's just maybe you're great at what you do, but maybe there are other people who are better than you. And learning from those who are better than you, like spending time with them. Definitely playing music with people who are better than you, is something. So, I mean,
It's a great perspective.
I mean, it's, there's a lot to, and always be learning. I mean, I know that sounds like a kind of a cliche, but it's like if you're not really learning, and I feel like I have become a lifelong learner where, it's like I'm always looking for a way to move the needle, know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Sonny, what's the secret sauce here?
Like I believe what he said, like learning. So I'm really big on research.
Okay.
And so when I was like learning or wanting to do this, I really like soaked up everything I could find on anybody who was already doing it and like learned from what they were doing or their mistakes that they shared, that they were vulnerable enough to share. And that really taught me a lot. So I feel like I missed a lot of mistakes because of what influencers were willing to share. So that's been great. And then just believing in yourself, believing that you can do it. I mean, when I was working full time and I told my coworkers I was going to be quitting and what I was going to be doing, they thought I was crazy, but I knew that I could do it. Like I knew I could be successful. So, so I just did it. And then I'm really determined, consistent person.
Yeah.
And it takes determination and consistency to weather the storm and the ups and downs of a business or your art or whatever you're doing because they come and they go. Sometimes you're on top and everybody loves what you're doing, and sometimes you're on, nobody likes it. You put stuff out there and it doesn't get any likes, So you just have to be consistent and just like kind of have to have a little bit of a hard shell too, to just kind of like, okay, I'll put something else out there and we'll see how that goes, And
I love the idea of when you're in that initial phase, especially one, I hear you say you're never slowing down on your learning. You're always learning, but in that initial phase where you're doing a lot of learning, learn about the path that other people, where they have failed.
Right.
Like what, and you can learn so much, oftentimes more so from people who have started and failed down the path that you want to go down than people that have succeeded.
Right.
So study both and you're able to get some great insight. Faith, Gracyn?
I definitely was so busy listening to the wisdom that I lost track of the question.
Okay, it's okay. I can go. I'll think about it. Okay. For me, it's really the criticism that other people give you really motivates me as a person. I don't know. That's just who I am, but I feel like most people can relate to that. Like there's always going to be people who don't like you, who don't like what you do, but criticism is your best friend. It's your best friend, absolutely. Because you have two choices in life. Like you can accept it and let it become who you are, or you can act on it and make something of yourself. So like I was talking about the UT professors, God bless them, the next day when I woke up, I think that's probably when I decided to start making money off of my art. I was like, I need to prove them wrong, like one day when I'm CEO of the company and they want in, So it's really just that hurt that fuels you, that primal instinct that you get when someone's like, this is bad. I just didn't want to sit with that for the rest of my life. And I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. So,
well, I think that's, so most people would fold under that, pressure. Yeah. And you let it motivate you because one of the things I hear you say, one of the key aspects of it is you're looking ahead and you're saying, and you're looking at things through the lens of regret.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You're going to regret it if you don't push through this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's I think what happened to me probably about a month ago. I was in a meeting at a company that will not be named. But it was a Friday and it was one of those meetings. We were all on Zoom, and it's just like a little piece of me died. And I mean, and I know you hear people say that, and then you don't believe what it feels like until it happens to you. But I remember thinking to myself, if I don't change and stop doing this right now, and and really go after what it is that I want, I'm gonna die doing this.
Yeah.
And that's and it's that regret too, you know. It's that, and I just like, I will not go out that way.
It's the stubbornness.
Yes.
It really
I will
is.
not go that way.
Yeah.
I like that.
And we're all stubborn to a certain degree.
Yeah.
You gotta take that
Massively.
gift and you gotta aim it in the right
Yes.
direction.
Yes.
One of the most motivational movies I've ever seen in my life, there's this scene where Fat Amy gets hit with a flying burrito. And as she's wiping the beans and cheese off of her body, she's letting it, in her words, fuel her hate fire.
Exactly. That's what you got to do.
So when life smothers you with
Yeah.
a flying burrito, you've got to let it fuel your
I
hate
love
fire
that. I love
Yeah,
that.
man.
and go after it.
Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Faith, I'm gonna let you follow that wisdom. Go for it,
All
honey.
right, I still don't know what the question was.
Oh my
I
gosh.
think it's what
Babe.
fuels your art.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. For me, this seems redundant because I feel like I already answered this earlier, but definitely just the one to tell stories. What makes me, I guess, after I receive constructive criticism, or just criticism, I don't know. It doesn't feel great, but it is something that you have to learn from. You have to Google. I watch a lot of YouTube, a lot of like what other photographers are doing or what they're not.
So you've just gotten crushed, right? Somebody has looked at your stuff
You laugh.
and they've
Yeah.
crushed you.
Yeah.
They've crushed your spirit. You don't quit, or at least you haven't yet. But but something pushes you through that to where you get back and you keep going. What is that? Why?
I mean,
Why not just quit?
because I don't do it necessarily to make money. The making money is nice, but I like the satisfaction I find in what I create. So when I get bad feedback or somebody who wasn't satisfied, then I just have to remind myself that it wasn't like, it was a courtesy that I was doing for money, you know, like I'll sell you my art, but if you don't like it, it's still like precious to me, you know, like
Yeah.
it wasn't in the first place ever something I was doing for the money. So
Is it almost like it's like a math equation that we do that we don't know we're doing, that the joy of us creating and doing equals more than the pain that we receive or that comes at us in the process of being critiqued or let down or failing. Like at the end of the day, the net positive is, again, I enjoy this. It's a part of who I am, and and that's enough to keep pushing me forward.
Absolutely.
for sure.
Before we go, as we wrap up, what are you guys working on now? One, what are you working on now? What are you doing? What does the next year look like? How do people follow you? Like, how do people get in touch? And now this will be all in the podcast show notes and all that kind of stuff. But while we're here, what are you working on? What are you doing? James, I don't even know. Decoyote. I can't. Decoyote.
Oh.
Mr. Decoyote.
Yes.
Can I ask you about Rivet Junkies?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Rivet, yeah.
What are you doing? What are you
All
up
right.
to?
So, well, first, can I tell you? Okay, I'll tell you about Rivet Junkies first, and that is, Fred and I are working on a web.
Who's Fred?
Yeah, Fred
Oh.
sounds totally like a made-up person. And this guy is made up. It's not real.
All right, so my good buddy Fred Manduhano,
Okay.
who is my drummer friend, who's working with me on my new Decoyote record. That's going to be out September 11th.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm releasing it one day shy of a year of when I had all this stuff, the rebrand start.
Yep.
And so he and I are working together on a show called Rivet Junkies, and the set is on a 1955 Spartan Imperial Mansion.
Oh, nice.
And I guess I'll tell a little bit about the show. In the front there is a eight top chef's table. In the back there's a little sound stage for an artist to perform, and in the center is a professional kitchen where we'll have guest chefs and come in, and the name of the show is really Amuse Bouge and Friends with the Rivet Junkies. And Fred and I are the Rivet Junkies, and you know, the Rivets are, you know, food and music, two, you know, big bolts that go right through the fabric of who we are as people, and that, you know, kind of unite us and make groups and all that stuff. So it's about food and music.
I love that.
And there's more to it, but
I know.
But I'm just going to leave it at that.
All right. So where do people follow you to get the inside scoop on some of this? Because it sounds super cool.
Yeah. So it's the Rivet Junkies thing is it's been in the works. We put the Instagram up, and it is Rivet Junkies. So follow us there. That's Fred Mondujano and myself. And then if you want to know more about the music that's coming out and what I'm doing, you can follow me at Decoyote Music. Okay. On Instagram. Yeah, that's the best place.
All right. Sonny, what does the next year look like, and how do people start buying your non-COVID infected merchandise? So
some of the same. I'm going to continue to sell on those different platforms that I mentioned, Poshmark, eBay, and Mercari. But then also James has been helping me set up a Shopify store of my own, so that I can eventually have my own storefront, which would be awesome. So I'm going to work on getting that up and running. And so, yeah, that hopefully is the next thing. And people can right now just follow me on Instagram at Selected by Sunny. And then that's what I am, my handle on Poshmark and eBay, that's Selected by Sunny.
Selected by Sunny.
Yep.
Simple.
Cute.
Love it.
So for me, this next year, I was hoping to do this the fall semester, but it might be spring semester now. I'm looking at some internship possibilities for marketing and photography. So I'll be focusing more on blogging about my experiences in Africa, doing that, and posting humanitarian photographs rather than portraits I normally do for people. So you can read my blog at www.elliottstokesphotography.com, or you can follow me on Instagram, elliottstokes_photography, and there's a link to the blog in my bio. But yeah, so I'll be working on more writing, more humanitarian work.
That's great. You're such a good person. And for me, I am currently working on a mural for this place called The Source. It's a really great organization. They help out pregnant teen moms, just pregnant people in general who are in very not good situations. And they offer like parenting classes and where they can earn like points for diapers and things. So they asked me to do a mural in their little baby room. Because it was really dull before and the kids just didn't like it. So currently working on that. I'm also doing graduation caps for people, which is like a new addiction of mine. Cool. Yeah, I know. Because our school said that we could decorate our caps, which has like never happened before in history. Because of COVID, they feel bad, you know. So
Grayson's making bank on it.
Okay, no, that's not true. So I decided
everybody has a Grayson cap.
I wanted to do something good. So all the proceeds go to the NAACP, which is like a legal defense fund for African Americans. Yeah. Really great place. So raised a lot of money for that so far, around $400.
Wow.
Yeah,
nice
I know.
job.
So if you need a grad cap painted, come to me. You can follow me on Instagram. It's Galloway Girl, which is like the city in Ireland, Galloway. So
yeah, I'll make a recommendation here, because even if your graduation is passed, what a cool thing to frame. Just like get one done and frame it somewhere.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think ceremony, like graduation, there's something about it, that's like it's activating. You know what I mean? So it's exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's good that you go.
Well, this has been awesome, and I really hope if you're a creator, aspiring creator, and you're looking at where you take the next steps, you got a lot of great counsel, wisdom from this episode. I know you could reach out personally to each one of these creators, and they would help you, guide you, give you. That's just who they are. They're going to give you their best and advice and encouragement as much as they can. And like I said, to start this out, if you're someone who's not sure, you have a lot of different options and aren't sure which path to choose, then reach out to us. We would gladly take you through our purpose project and help you make sense of all these possibilities based on your unique design. So thanks everybody for
Actually,
listening. And
I have a confession to make.
uh-oh.
I only put this podcast together because I wanted advice from my favorite creators. So
What are your favorite
I
creators?
wanted to listen to it.
Did you get the advice?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I'm excited to listen to it back
That's
again.
so
All right.
sweet.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.